describe it to someone who's never seen it before?
Kano PC is an interesting and really, really fun product for us. Kano PC is a build-it-yourself Windows 10 2-in-1 laptop tablet in a box.
Hello and welcome to the Mega Byte Podcast for August 6th, 2020. I'm your host, Brian Gavados, and this week is something I'm very excited to talk with you about. It is all about the Kano PC. We have Logan Hickle on to discuss what is the Kano PC and why does it matter so much for all of the customers you interact with who have children or have students in their family. This is a big one. This is a very fascinating product. It's not often we talk about something like this that is so dynamically different than almost everything else we're selling in the Windows Store. So get ready, tune in, perk up your ears, and let's hear from Logan Hickle and understand more about the Kano PC. Okay, so here we are with Mr. Logan Hickle, and he is from Kano. And Logan, I have to say, I'm very excited for this conversation because this is something that represents something, well, completely different from the typical lines of products and services that we're talking about here. Because I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, this is family first or child and learning development first before most other priorities in terms of the product. Would you say that's true?
Yeah, I would tend to agree with that. I think this product is very geared towards learning outcomes. So, right out of the box, and we'll get into that in a minute, but right out of the box, it's kind of geared towards enabling that child or that user, that customer, and not only enabling them in terms of the hardware itself, but triggering in their mind, I can understand this, I can do this, what else can I do with technology?
Right. That's incredible because we're talking right now to a field team of Microsoft field professionals, sales professionals, people who influence sales, people who do demos for customers. And while this product, which is called the Kano PC, while this product is not going to be necessarily in store at every single retail location, it will be something that you could sell through your .com resources if you don't have it. And as any retail sales professional will tell you, when there is a feature of a product, not to say nothing of an entire product itself, but when there's just a feature of a product that can connect with a family's child or a customer's child and assist them in their learning and development, take them from sort of that, zero to hero story on not knowing something to really mastering it. When you can make that kind of connection as a sales professional is a slam dunk situation, because we know that when you can make that strong emotional connection with a customer and their kids, then that is more powerful than any other kind of demo. So that's why this is so important for us to talk to you to get the full scoop on Kano PC. So how do you describe it to someone who's never seen it before?
Kano PC is an interesting and really, really fun product for us. Kano PC is a build-it-yourself Windows 10 2-in-1 laptop tablet in a box. So everything comes taken apart in the box. You open up that box and immediately you're greeted with what we call a storybook on how to make your computer.
Let's pause right there at the storybook because so many people are listening and they're thinking, build your own PC? Are you kidding me? That is an agony. That's a toil. I did that once 15 years ago and it was a total pain in the butt and I'll never go back again. I blew out the power supply. I short-circuited my whole house network. The electricity went down. I'll never build a PC again. So when you say a PC in a box that you're going to be building and it's directed toward kids, can you just cover off real quickly, just functionally and practically, how is that possible?
Sure. Yeah. So the unit itself and the hardware, it's a very simple build. To adults my age, about to be 30 years old, 20-year-olds, it's very simple and easy to do. But for kids, it's an interesting kind of proposition because, like I said, that storybook, they follow along and it teaches them how to build it. And when I say build, it's more plug and play. Yeah. So if you know our products from previously that were Raspberry Pi based, Kano PC is its own PCB. It is not Raspberry Pi based. And it's more plug and play. You plug in the parts. And throughout the storybook, it not only teaches them, hey, plug this in here. It's, hey, plug this in here. This is why you're doing it. And this is how it works. Because we want them to understand what they're doing, not just doing it blindly. But it's a very simple build for the kid, especially for adults, but for kids even further.
Would you say it's a pretty good family activity too, the whole unboxing process?
Definitely. I would agree with that.
So this is insane. This is really, really cool. So when Logan here is saying that it's plug and play and simple, everyone out there, you'll get the sales guidance and the one sheeter and stuff about the Kano PC to make sure you understand it. But it's modular based. I'm looking at, bright red components, bright blue components with clear identifications of what plugs in where. This is something that if you took yourself back to your own 12-year-old brain, this is like, mwah. This is amazing. This is like a Rector set of PCs. You can build it yourself with clear instructions and have success guaranteed for you. And as a parent myself, what excites me so much about the idea of building a PC for a child, when you assemble something yourself, when you build something yourself, when you cook something yourself, when you create something yourself, you value it more and you use it in a different manner than if it's already done for you. And I wonder if that sort of part of the message here with the Kano PC is that you'll get more investment and more interest in creation and creativity because you've invested the time in building it yourself.
It very much is part of the core messaging. One of the interesting aspects, whether it's with Kano PC or even our older products, is that just like you said, whenever the kid or the customer, the user is building that device themselves, they have an automatic sense of respect for the device and ownership of the device. That becomes their device, not just a blank gray box that they're turning on. And it especially kind of takes that interesting turn in the classroom as well. When you're talking about bringing Kano PC into the classroom, is that whenever a teacher hands that PC to a kid, they have that ownership of the device and respect for the device. But then they also have this interesting kind of respect for the teacher because they're saying, wait, you trust me to do this?
Right.
And it's just like a light bulb that goes off between the student and the teacher. It's a really interesting dynamic there.
So when you talk about that connection, I will say also that trust of like, wow, this is obviously a really big, important thing. This isn't just a small plastic pretend computer. Like this is not a pretend phone. It's a real phone. And we're in this case, This is not a pretend computer. This is real. When I unboxed the demo unit I was sent, the first thing that struck me, first of all, this this unboxing experience must be experienced to be understood because it does transport you into I don't want to say simpler mindset because it's not, but it's so clear when you unbox it, the components and the story and the path that you're about to take. And I think that's something when I think about this being a family activity, I think about that really engaging unboxing experience. But the actual hardware itself feels premium. The hardware and the components feel solid and premium. This doesn't feel like a toy. I guess my biggest fear is that people listening to this thinking, oh, okay, Kano PC, something for kids. Okay, so it's a toy computer. Great. Okay, fine. I don't think that's the case here at all. And I wonder if you have anything to say about the components, the build quality, and the things that you guys took into account when designing and developing Kano PC.
Yeah. So a couple notes on that is, the durability is a big point for us. What's interesting with Kano PC is because it is modular plug and play, if a student or a kid or a user drops the Kano PC, what we see happens is the back case pops off and maybe the battery comes out, right? So everything just kind of goes its own way, but you can easily plug it back in and everything's back up and running. Whereas with another device that comes shipped all screwed and built together, you see a lot of cracking, a lot of breakage. So it kind of helps. It's kind of like that analogy where the tree that doesn't bend to the wind or to the storm gets uprooted. This kind of bends with the user experience to kind of stay durable and not break. And then another interesting aspect when it comes to the unboxing experience of the product and building it and understanding it, and you kind of alluded to it earlier, is the color coding of the device. You said the battery's red, the speaker's blue. You'll notice, and the user will notice when they build the device and plug it in and turn it on, the speaker's blue. And when that device turns on, the light up by the port where you plugged in the speaker, that lights up blue. If you plug in headphones, that lights up blue on the back. The battery's red, and the light, the indicator light on the back also lights up red. When you turn on the power button, which is red, it also lights up red. So we have all of these connections that kind of link for the user together in very simplistic ways, but meaningful and powerful ways. So they understand that device, because we're all about empowering. We like to say empowering the next generation to understand their technology. and create, not just consume.
So it's a very interesting PC. It's modular, as you said. You can assemble it yourself and get that and really make it your own by that process, which is, I'm just so excited for my kids to take part of this experience. But so when we go from the hardware experience to the software side, what is it that a child or a user is going to be able to do with Kano PC? What happens when you boot it up, and what kind of apps can you use, and how does the hardware make that possible?
Yeah, definitely. And for Kano PC, once you turn it on, you go through the typical Windows 10 onboarding experience. And I want to make a hard call out there that this is a Windows 10 device, just like any other Windows 10 device that is on the shelf. It's powered by Windows 10 Home. So it has the power and the flexibility of Windows 10 and the power of the Microsoft App Store as well. So all those apps, if it can run on a competitor OEM device, they can run on Kano PC as well. So it really has that power. And that's kind of one of the reasons that we made the switch from our old products, which were Raspberry Pi and Linux based, to something, and in this partnership with Microsoft, to Windows 10. Because we needed something for both the parent and the educator that they understood and could kind of work with as well. If you hand a Linux device to a parent, most parents, 98% of the parents are like, what is this? So Windows 10 gives us that flexibility to make both the user, the kid, the student comfortable, and the parent and educator comfortable at the same time. Once you turn it on, it's the full Windows 10 experience. Now, a few things I wanted to call out there are our own apps. So we do preload some Kano kind of learning environment apps on there, and they're really, really cool. So we have 4 apps. The 3 main ones are How Computers Work, Kano Code, and Make Art. There's a 4th one called Kano PC Introduction, which I'll go into here in a second.
Okay.
So How Computers Work, it's this really cool and interesting and fun piece of software for the students, or for the kids, I should say. And what it does is once you open it up, there's, I believe, 8 or 9 modules on how computers work. So how does binary work? How does networking work? How does flash storage work? How does sound work? How does networking work? How it pings around the world in different locations. And there's all these modules kind of focus on that. And just like the storybook, when the unboxing and building the device, it's very visually, narratively driven, like a story almost. So that's how computers work. All these different modules, because while the plug and play physical building of it is more simpler than our previous devices, we didn't want that learning experience to stop at turning it on. So that's why we built that app, How Computers Work. And then the other 2 apps, which are kind of staples of the Kano ecosystem and have been for a couple of years and just updated for Kano PC, are Kano Code and Make Art. So Kano Code is block-based coding, similar to Scratch or Blockly. And we have our own built-in challenges there that give the students tooltips. It's kind of almost a built-in curriculum for the kids. And as they go further down in the challenges and they get harder, it starts peeling back some of those tooltips. That way they have to apply those learnings. And then Make Art is very similar to Kano Code with those tooltips and everything. It's just typed-based coding instead of block-based coding. So it's almost a kind of the next step, that next transition. But it still holds the kids' hands and walks them through that experience.
So I think with so many customers in a unique situation right now, in a unique setting in which they have been sort of thrust into a version of homeschooling or distance learning, Kano PC represents an incredible opportunity to have customers, family member, or someone precious in their life gain a new fundamental understanding about how the world works around them, about how computers work, whether it's processors or storage or sound and audio, or how that app works, because now they understand the fundamentals of coding, and they can create from themselves and see how their text input can translate into some visual representation on the screen. And again, for customers who now have had their lives changed by all the craziness that's going on in the world right now and have all their kids home more than they were, I think this represents an innovative and engaging learning opportunity that could be more valuable now than literally ever before.
Definitely. Yeah. And it's that interesting product, whereas it's a great price at $299, you know, with the 11.6 inch touchscreen, 2-in-1, the keyboard comes with it as a folio cover. It's a fantastic price at $299 just as a Windows 10 device and doing everything a Windows 10 device can do. But then with those added on aspects of our own apps, it kind of adds on to that value proposition at a low price point. And that 4th app I was talking about real quick, the Kano PC Introduction. So that's an app that they can launch when they turn it on for the first time. I believe it'd be in the Windows Live tiles whenever they open the start menu. And it walks them through typing hello world and bringing that up on screen in binary code. It walks them through setting their wallpaper, things like that. It's kind of a continuation of that Windows onboarding, just very visually, narratively, story-driven in the Kano way.
That is so cool.
If you haven't taken a look yet, I encourage you to.
So when you say this is a full, Windows 10 PC after it's been assembled and put together, that means it can run things like those common apps that families use, things that, like Minecraft or Netflix and things. But also, this is a great opportunity for our sales professionals in the field because this is an excellent Microsoft 365 device so that your student or your child can have access to the full breadth of those Microsoft 365 apps like Word, PowerPoint, and OneNote, Excel. And those are the things that can help that student be ready for their next step in their technological understanding, their next leap in proficiencies. And so when you think about a device that from the beginning comes disassembled and you can assemble it yourself and go through the onboarding and understanding what a computer is and how the components work, all the way to mastering things like Microsoft Word and PowerPoint so you're ready for your next step in your education or your development. I mean, that's a pretty big story for a product to tell that comes in at $299.
Definitely. And thank you for shouting all that out. Yeah, it's that perfect device that kind of fits every single aspect of a kid's life and kind of prepares them for the future with future ready skills, as the ecosystem says, future ready skills, tech skills. But what's really funny is, we did a video shoot with this, and the kids, when they turned it on, they opened up PowerPoint immediately. And we said, why did you open up PowerPoint? They're like, well, we use that in class every day. And these were kids that were like 7 or 8 years old. So that was hugely eye-opening to us. So that helps. And that's very encouraging to us, having that Windows 10 platform and being able to run things like Microsoft 365.
Well, let me tell you, there are a few colleagues I work with every day who I wish would have been introduced to PowerPoint at age 7 or 8 because, boy, that would make my life a lot easier.
Definitely. We have some people here at Kano that I wish the same thing as well.
Okay, so imagine we are in a retail setting and we have the computer department and everything, and there's a family that comes in with a couple kids maybe, and they're looking at PCs. And then the sales professional then has the job of going and interacting and engaging with this small group and understanding what they're in the store today for. Is it for someone? Are they buying something for someone there today in that group? Are they looking for a gift for someone else? Are the children that are present, are they involved in this story at all? Or are they just tagging along for the ride while mom or dad gets a new computer for work? So those are a lot of the different variables to consider. But let's assume that either this is going to be given as a gift for a child or for someone of any age. But how would you hope that a sales professional would describe Kano PC?
For us with Kano PC and how we kind of position it or kind of find those details as to how to explain it to a customer to inform that purchasing decision. One is kind of the age range. We're typically seeing that 6 to 14, 15-year-old age range that this is a good fit for. However, we do see it go past that. With the power of Windows 10, our previous devices were even skewed younger. But with the power of Windows 10, because it is a full Windows 10 device, just like any other laptop, 2-in-1, we are seeing that age range go further than 14, 15 years old. I had a customer that reached out to me that was 65. So it really kind of spans the gap, if you will. That being said, with the visual element of it and the artwork and the storybook, it's pretty clear that it's kind of skewed towards that younger range as a target market. And really the question there is, are they looking for a device for their kid or are they looking for a device for them for work, right? And if it's for the kid, it's all about informing the customer, hey, Kano PC is going to do everything else that everything here on the shelf does, but it also has built-in software and learning experiences, both hardware and software, for that kid at the low price. So it's all about informing them of what comes preloaded on the device and the learning outcomes of that. So you're learning how a computer works. You're learning how block coding works. and you're learning kind of how make art text-based coding works, I wouldn't focus on that too much because that can scare people away.
Sure.
It's very simple. It's simple.
Buy this computer for your kid and they're going to have to code in order to get it to work.
Yeah, exactly. And that's definitely not the case. But I think also a big aspect of this is that ownership of the device. It's such night and day experience when a kid gets handed a black gray box that's a laptop versus unboxing and building a Kano PC. Just having that ownership of the device increases engagement on the device as well. And it's all about driving that create, don't consume.
It reminds me of the popularity of the subscription boxes for making your own food at home, for those, the Blue Aprons and those kinds of things, and how those just exploded overnight in popularity. And in terms of my friends, my group of friends who at the time, we're all in our mid-20s, and it was like, what, you guys are cooking now? Since when do you guys cook? And you're like passionately sending me photos of what you're doing. And they wouldn't have done that. They don't send me pictures of the orders from restaurants that they get all the time. But for some reason, when they're assembling their own meals, when they get the parts delivered to them and they assemble it themselves and they come up with something that's great, they're obsessed with it. There's such pride in that. And I think that it's not a stretch to say that is very similar to what you can expect from someone who's assembling their own technology and then using it themselves. Definitely.
And for the parent as well, it's a message about sustainability and the kind of the life of the device. So for us, if the battery dies in the device, you pop off the back. First, it comes with a 1-year warranty, manufacturer's warranty. So if for some reason something happens within that time frame, our customer success team is pretty rocking, and they get back to people within 24 business hours. Our typical average is 2 hours, 20 minutes first reply time. And we can get parts out to you. And like I said, if the battery dies for whatever reason, you pop it out and you pop in a new one in 30 seconds.
Okay, Logan, this has been fantastic. But as you know, and as you were briefed, the Mega Byte Podcast is, Emmy Award, Oscar Award, Grammy Award nominated for a reason. And that's because we break all the big news here. I don't think any of the awards I just talked about are news related, but you get the idea. So what are some things maybe that you could tell me about what's coming around the corner for what that Kano PC user, how that could enhance their experience in months or years down the line?
Yeah, so something that's coming down the line here in about a month and a half are some really exciting accessories around the Kano PC. So there's the Kano PC that we've been talking about, incredible product in and of itself, but we wanted to add a little bit more to that learning experience and to the usability of the device. So coming very shortly, we have a webcam, we have a build-it-yourself headphones, and we have a build-it-yourself mouse as well. And these accessories are really
so cool.
Yeah, it's once you see the accessories too, it's just our tagline for the camera is it's just freaking cool. The camera itself, again, going back to that color coding of how the lights light up on the back of the device, the camera itself to designate visual feed is yellow. And it's this beautiful gooseneck camera. It also has a macro lens on it so they can do a document scan or a zoom in on a leaf for biology class, things like that. And then the headphones are build it yourself, and they come taken apart in the box. And it's the unboxing experience there is pretty funny and cool. The way that they laid it out, it kind of looks like a little character from a certain movie series, and we'll see if anybody catches that, but it's like a little Easter egg. And yeah, those are blue. You build it yourself, follow along in the storybook. And the same with the mouse. So the mouse is orange on top with like kind of that frosted base, so they can see into the mouse, but they build it themselves, just like the headphones. The only one that they don't build themselves is the webcam, because obviously we don't want little peanut butter and jelly fingers touching lenses. So yeah, those are coming down the line very shortly. We're working through that process at the moment and getting those SKUs set up.
Well, Logan, this has been an absolute treat. Clearly, I'm a total fanboy for what Kano PC represents, and it's a joy to talk about something that is, from my perspective, grounded on so many great psychological and learning development principles that I can see just coming to life so viscerally when you look at this device. So again, for anyone out there listening, be on the lookout for any learnings or any documents, sales documents. I'm going to link to a sell sheet in the show notes here, so you can be sure to have access to it. But if you cannot get it, or if you want to learn more and you can't find the information in here, then just shoot me an email to megabytepodcast@microsoft.com, and I will make sure you're connected with all the right training tools and resources that we have. Aside from that, Logan, is there any resources, like perhaps just the Kano website? I mean, if you were out there listening and you want to learn more, where would you want them to go?
Yeah, so they can dive into our website. That's Kano, Kano.me, M-E, Kano.me. Plenty of resources on there. There's tech specs on there if you want to dive into that, but that's also on the sell sheet. And then I encourage you to check out our software page at the top of Kano.me. It'll either say software or downloads. We're A/B testing that copy right now. And through there, you can learn about Kano code, make art, how computers work, and also our online platform called Kano World. So I encourage you to dive into those resources.
Logan Hickle from Kano, thank you so much. And I hope to have you back soon to talk about either accessories or other exciting products, because no matter what you're working on, we'd love to make time for you. This is a really interesting, important, and I think timely product right now. So thanks for giving us your time here on the Mega Byte.
Thank you so much for having us.
This has been the Microsoft Mega Byte Podcast, a training tool for Microsoft field team members and sales professionals across the country, produced by Microsoft employees.